going to be talking about the perfect pitch pill. So, by a show of hands, who all of you have seen the movie Pitch Perfect? Almost everyone. Okay, yeah. It's one of my favorite movies, and I think in the world of music, there's really no greater gift than having perfect pitch. So, I know that not everybody here knows a lot about music, contrary to the belief that everyone at Belmont does music. But today we're going to start off with a little bit of a game, if that's okay. It's going to be a little bit of a pitch perfect test. So I'm going to play for you a specific note on the piano, and if you can, by the sound of it, try and classify exactly what that note is. Let's see if I can turn it. So by the sound of that, do you think that note was either B, C, or D? C. Good job. Okay, so for those of you who guessed C correctly, you're still in the game, and now we're going to play a bit more of a challenging note to classify. Alright, so by the sound of that, was that either F sharp, B flat, or G sharp? G sharp! Good job! So someone with perfect pitch would instantly be able to recognize those two notes as middle C or G sharp, and they wouldn't have to use any other outside reference points other than their brain. But the question is perfect pitch something that you're just born with, or something that you can learn? Now, coming from someone who's been a musician their whole entire life, and I still do not have perfect pitch whatsoever, I know very well that having perfect pitch is definitely a very rare gift to have. But, apparently, if you want this gift, you might be able to pop a pill for it. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Today we're going to be discussing what exactly this drug is, the study in which it was used, and the results of that study, and also some possible risks of this drug. So moving on to our first point, what is this drug? According to an article on Live Science written by Mark Lillanilla, researchers have found that a drug known as valproate or valproic acid might help people learn how to produce perfect pitch. This drug belongs to a class of drugs known as histone deacetylase inhibitors, and they're typically used as mood stabilizers to treat various things such as migraines, epileptic seizures, and bipolar disorders. But not only is this drug a mood stabilizer, but a recent research study that we're going to dive more into detail about has found that it also restores the plasticity of the brain to a juvenile state. And this juvenile state is a very critical period of brain development, and it usually ranges from ages 5 to 7 years old. And the brain during this time it typically has a very high degree of plasticity, which enables us to pick up skills and languages a lot easier than adults. And this is why you see a lot of parents starting kids young in hobbies such as music, singing, piano, sports, etc. In fact, according to an article written by Robin Nixon, who has a combined BA in biology and psychology from Columbia University, he states that experts believe that the ability to produce absolute pitch may be a genetic trait that must be nurtured through musical training in early childhood, or else it's very unlikely to develop. So moving on to this study, what exactly does this study entail? Takao Hench, a professor of molecular and cellular biology at Harvard University, hypothesized that this drug, known as valproic acid, can restore an adult's brain back to the neuroplasticity to that of a 7-year-old. Now, in the past, Hench and other scientists believed that if we had missed this window and we hadn't gained the ability to pick out and produce a note at will by the time we were about 7 years old, then we wouldn't be able to master those skills as adults. But then later, Hench asked the question, could we come up with a way that we could reopen plasticity, pair it with the appropriate training, and allow adults' brains to become young again? So this study entailed gathering 23 male volunteers ranging from ages 18 to 27. And they were all screened not to have any previous musical training or experience in early childhood. And they gave them the drug, valproic acid, or the placebo. And during a 2-week period, the volunteers were asked to perform various training tasks online, and they were being coached on the basics of pitch. And after 2 weeks of being either on the drug valproic acid or the placebo, the subjects were tested on their ability to discriminate pitch tones. And the result was that the people who had taken valproate learned how to identify absolute pitch, and they scored significantly higher than that of the control group. And in an interview with a Nashville Public Radio staff member, Takao Hench states, "It's quite remarkable since there are no known reports of adults acquiring absolute pitch." So although this may seem like a pretty good deal for us musicians in the room, this drug can definitely pose some possible risks. Hench states that these critical periods of brain development have evolved for a reason, and it's a process that one would not want to tamper with carelessly. He continues to say that if we've shaped our identities through development and have matched our brain to the environment in which we've been raised, acquiring languages and skill sets and culture and identity, then you run the risk of erasing all of that by reopening this critical period. So besides the assistance that this drug could give to the voice contestants, we've touched on what exactly this drug is, Takao Hench's study and the results of that study, and also possible risks of this drug. So who knows, maybe like the people in Pitch Perfect, we may be one day added to the list of people who are in fact pitch perfect. Thank you.